Hey, 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 goodness to you. This is Sporty King, and I always say goodness because I don't know whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening for you, but isn't it excellent to put good in front of your day? Look, my message starts today at 1 o'clock, but I'm on early. I always try to get on 5 minutes early to give what Facebook calls a chance to build the audience and give people a chance to get on it. So some people, and it's an option that you have to remember that you have in using technology. Some people say, well, hey, I have it scheduled where it says you come on at 1, and then, and then you may, but then come on, you got other stuff going on in your day, so you might not remember that. So I would rather have come on early, where 5 minutes early, and it says Sporty will be on at 1. You say, oh my God, that's right. I want to be on to hear that fabulous, marvelous, excellent speaker, wonderful spirit in my life, Sporty King. And I got to get ready for that. Let me close this stuff out. Okay. So that's why I do that. But also it gives me a chance to do any shout outs. So if you're joining me, you want to just say hello, I can, give you a shout out here because this is our interactive day. Yeah, this is our inactive day. So we've got less than 4 minutes for today's actual message. But yeah, this is the interactive day. Glue Wednesday is actually born from where people are, hey, what's up there? Okay, I'm back. Are y'all still here? Because I still see your names. I see Daphne and Vic. Man, whoo, technology is hilarious. And we got less than 3 minutes to go. Let me know that y'all are still on. Or that you came back on. It totally took me off. I don't know what it ended up doing on your end of the digging. Okay, good. Okay. Did it take me off though, Vic? Oh man, and because I remember, a few weeks ago, Daphne had said that we're having problems, and I was just about to say when it cut me off, I said I know we've got a delay between when you write versus when I ask a question. And today I'm going to be asking questions, so be ready. But at least I know you're back, Vic. Daphne, let me know if you're back. We've got less than 2 minutes for today's message. Meanwhile, if you're watching the videotape, and I wonder how I'm going to look forward to seeing how that happened, if it took me off and restarted a whole new thread or not, or if it kept us on this one. But if you're watching the videotape, that's right. Plus, I'm supposed to give the shout outs there. First, we had a shout out from Daphne. Yay! And so we hope she comes back. And then there's Vic saying, I'm back. All right. Oh, I sound like James Brown. I'm back. And then there's Daphne. Yeah, she made it back. Okay, great to have both of y'all back here. Get the shout outs going. All right. But Glue Wednesday comes with less than a minute, but Glue Wednesday is because Wednesday, instead of being called Hump Day, as far as I'm concerned, it's the actual middle of a traditional 7-day week that keeps the week beginning and the weekend together. So there's my prayerful mode, and it's the glue, GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Not that God's love will tear stuff apart, but that what is torn apart, it will pull it back together. And a shout out to Liddell. What's going on? So I got 2 Chicagoans and a New Yorker in there. All right. Hey, what's happening, all of y'all? And I like that. Yeah, Vic and Daphne saying hello because they've been on here before. Look, y'all, we have a nice little family going here. So I love it when y'all come back. And as you know, when you do that, it gives me a chance to share some of your thoughts and your spirits that go together. Because isn't it the joy in life is finding out what we have in common? So many times people in our society are of focusing on what we have in opposition. But what we have to do is recognize we do have differences, but differences give us a chance for growth and progress. So it's important to have differences, but to share the differences. And we're going to actually come up with in fact, I did a meme today. It's not going to come out. I did a meme today. You'll see where it says you don't have to be right. So you don't always have to be right. You have to be making a positive contribution. And so that's one of the things I'm saying is, based on what's going on in your culture, in your life, when you share that, that's a positive contribution. Because sometimes, don't you say, what did they have on their mind? Well, wouldn't it be helpful if you could find that out? But anyway, meanwhile, I left that up there with the great 5 hearts that Liddell gave us, because we always need heart to keep it moving. Okay, so let's get going with today's message. All right, and again, there you go, Daphne. See, yeah, shout outs to family when you get to meet them. All right, but. So before getting on the road, as you know, before getting on the road to celebrating my Thanksgiving holiday weeks ago with my family, and then as I was preparing to create a new glue message for you anyway, I was going to prepare the message anyway and leave it for while I was gone. And so I started out thinking that my message was going to be thanks, THANKS. The heart always needs kindred spirits. I gotta take Liddell's "Hey Sister" to Daphne out there so that you can see that. The heart always needs kindred spirits. All right. And so as I was going to choose 1 or 2 words per letter to expand upon our giving thanks during this season, because the Thanksgiving season and all the way through the Christmas season and all the way through the life season. And there, I'm going to give another shout out in there. What's going on, Roger Carroll? Oh my God, family is all here today. All right. All right. But I was going to give 1 or 2 words per letter to expand our giving thanks throughout the season. But I kept finding that, gosh, there was so many more words to be thankful for letter by letter that I decided to stretch out the thanks through the end of 2021, because we certainly have more to be thankful for than any one American celebration. So I'll give you a different letter each week with words beginning with that feature letter where I have to get those words into the message. Today's feature is going to be the letter A, and I'm going to be using the words always, attitude, accept, allow, and aware. So all of those will happen to get in there. All right. And I'm going to take a break quickly right here and get some shout outs. See what we got here. Daphne. Oh, yes. This heart needs kindred spirits. Oh, boy. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. That's what I'm saying. We don't get it together. And I told you I love a family that comes on, but we don't get together in advance and say, what are you going to say? I just love how some of our thoughts end up coming together when it goes. And I'm like, oh, my God, look at what Daphne said, and watch how that comes up later on. Yes, for 2021. Thank you. Yeah, because come on, you can spread out the thanks whenever you want it to. And then Vic giving us another A word, thinking back to when we did the alphabet series, when I said, give me words beginning with a certain letter, and I'll get them into the message. I'm not going to do that, Vic, but all is definitely going to be in our message today. So thank you. Okay. And then one more thing, what you saying there, Daphne? Oops, gone again. Oh, I hope that means that she's gone, but that she's coming back. So Vic and Roger Carroll and Liddell, let me know you're still there. My thing here says that you're still there. And on the videotape, I'm still here too. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Daphne gets back. Daphne gets back in. All right. So those are my A words today. Always, attitude, accept, allow, and aware. Okay. Thank you, Roger Carroll. Everybody's still there. All right. So Mitch, it was just her connection. She'll be back. Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got your sponsorship moment. All right. Okay, but thank you, Liddell. There you go. So, but today we're going to talk about, and you saw it, we're going to talk about creating a positive attitude for thanks. Creating a positive attitude for thanks. And I'll start off by highlighting a word that I actually try to avoid using. And that's the word always. See, yet I'm going to use it to show how important it is to put things into context. You see, my opposition to using always is based on my attempt to also avoid using absolutes. Always, never, every. Those are absolutes. And each one of these words need only one occurrence to eliminate the validity. And they also limit your freedom of choice. If you always do it this way, if it's never been done that way, and then every time, and if you accept those, you are limiting your options or your right to your freedom of choice. But even in the definition of my affirmation, because I have the affirmation for our theme, thanks, which is why I laugh when Daphne put it there, and I hope she's back. But the heart always needs kindred spirits. Well, a kindred spirit is a person whose interests or attitudes are similar to one's own. And I want to say to you, a kindred spirit is a person whose interests or attitudes are similar to one's own. And thanks is the heart always needs kindred spirits. I want to say to you that you don't need kindred spirits in order to give thanks. See, you don't need kindred spirits in order to give thanks. You don't necessarily have to have a person whose interests or attitudes are similar to yours for you to give thanks. And I know you can already think about that. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, I just saw what just came in. Daphne did make it back. Being patient and understanding. All right. And then I'm let her get that one shout out to Roger Carroll there before I go on. Hey, y'all know this is our day. I don't worry about how I stick to the script or anything, but y'all know that's also why I write the script, because I know we're going to be having conversation and I may have to peel away from the script and then find my way back on. So I make sure that the message gets delivered. That's one of the things. It's interesting. Again, this let me get you to absolutes. A lot of times people say, and as they're teaching people about speaking and stuff, and they talk about how you have to have stuff memorized, don't use notes. That's not true. That's not true. I think that it's how you use your notes that makes you a good speaker. So don't decide, oh no, I can't go up there with notes. People will think I'm not a professional. If you've been asked to speak, you're a professional on that moment. And so sometimes the notes, because of the moment, you can get an impassioned example of something else to help make the point. And you need to get back to the message. So that's why I think it is important, to have notes. And I always have mine. And I may write what I'm going to do pretty much verbatim, but I don't necessarily go by what I wrote. I wrote what I'm going to say, because sometimes when I'm rereading it, it allows me to grasp what I mean. So that's why I say, make sure, I say go on and have those notes. All right. So anyway, you don't need kindred spirits in order to give thanks. But you know what you do need? You do need the right attitude. You do have to have the right attitude. And you have the option to choose your attitude according to your situation. The more you can choose and maintain a positive attitude, the easier it is to give thanks. So here are 3 options that I believe we have that you're going to have with me right now. So here are your 3 options. Please, okay, if you're with me live, join me right now in trying out this formula that I'm going to give you for developing a positive attitude. And even whether or not you have one is not in question here. But I want us to go through these steps and developing the formula. Okay, so that's option number 1. Or choose to come back after the live broadcast if you were watching the video, or even if you're live. And then third option, pause now if you're just actually watching the video and copy the formula, but also find a way to contribute to it. Okay. So here we go. Get ready. Get your fingers ready. Get ready. Here we go. All right. The first thing that you have to do to create a positive attitude is that you have to practice positive self-talk. So what I want you to do is write down one strength that you possess in the thread. Write one strength that you possess in the thread. You see, it's easy for us to identify all the negative aspects of ourselves. Oh, I do this, I messed this up, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's harder to remember the positive. You have to be not only your own best friend, but you don't want to be your own worst critic. So please, in the thread, write down one strength that you believe you have. Roger Carroll, resilience. Yes, so important, resilience. I'm going to give it a little moment because remember, there's a delay in from when I say it on StreamYard until when you type. And then but oh my God, I think earlier I said Facebook. But I also want to welcome my viewers from LinkedIn and YouTube because I'm now streaming to all three live at once. So thank you. Welcome everybody. Daphne, I'm a motivational cheerleader. I love it. A motivational cheerleader. And Vic, listening is the strength. Okay. Now, and the thing is, I said we may not be able to type fast enough to get in the thread, but if you can, I'm glad that you did, and we can always come back to it. So even if you didn't get something typed in there, I don't know if Liddell is still on there, but we can always come back to it. But now that you've typed in your strengths, we got resilience. We got okay, and then and Laura's coming in. We got resilience from Roger Carroll. We got motivational cheerleader from Daphne. We got listening from Vic, and we got a therapist from Laura Perry. Hey, what's up, Laura Perry? My high school alum. Good to see you. God bless you. I'm glad things are going well for you with your recovery, guys. I know we're both doing some recovery in terms of having operations. But here's what I want you to do now. I want you to think of how that strength helps and has helped you give thanks in life. And then go on and type that in the thread. You don't have to make it real smooth sentence, but one or two words. Roger Carroll, how is your resilience? Daphne, your motivational cheerleading. Vic, your listening, and Laura, your therapy. How has those strengths helped you in giving thanks? Not how they've helped other people. Oops, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't put limitations on it. But let's just say, oops, here, let me put that up there so that you can see it. Think of how that strength helps and has helped you give thanks in life. Vic, being a good listener allows me not to judge so quickly. And that is so true. One of my prayers, my daily prayers, is that I always say, I pray that I become less judgmental because I know I'll never make it to be a non-judgmental. And someone says, what do you mean? I'm not judgmental. I think we all are. Here's my example. Most people like the saying and believe in it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That is actually a judgmental statement. What? Yeah. Because fool me once means I didn't know you would do that. And so now but I'm never going to let that, and there's that absolute word, never. I'm not going to let that happen to me again. So the next person that either looks like you or tries to do that to me, I am going to put up a wall and not allow them to do that. That becomes the judgment. And so now being less judgmental is being aware of that. See, I'm aware that what you did is something that I'm going to now penalize the next person for. But since I realized that it wasn't that person, I'm going to at least say, this is my judgmental aspect of and I need to come around that wall and let you come around it. And so that's where the being less judgmental comes in. So thank you, Vic. Yeah. Being a good listener allows you to not judge so quick, as well as you make sure that you listen to your heart and know that everybody deserves a fair chance. And I'm giving short answers to keep us rolling. Roger Carroll, resilient. I know that all things will change and that God has always been with me in every season. And yeah, go on and throw those absolutes in there, Roger Carroll, always and every. Because again, we can't make this stuff up. I got to come back to those. I got those written into my script because this is what we allow. We do. Oh my God. I just realized I got to go back to it to Vic. Vic got to where it allows me not to be judged so quickly. And allow is one of our words. Remember? We are there. We are there. All right. So anyway, Roger Carroll, I know resilience is because I know that things are going to change. So I know I can hang in there. Y'all have heard me say before, take care of your PMS, physical, mental, and spiritual self first. so that you can help someone else. That's what resilience is about. If you don't take care of your physical self, and this is why I say to people, put yourself first. Because if you don't take care of yourself physically, how can you help someone, a loved one who's fallen off the bed, off the couch, off the chair, whatever? If you don't take care of yourself mentally, how can you help someone make a life-changing decision that's going to impact where they go, where their path is going to take them? If you don't take care of yourself spiritually, how can you encourage someone to get up if they can off that floor without you picking them up, or help them get up? And how can you inspire them, like Daphne said, a motivational, what she said, a motivational cheerleader? How can you be a motivational cheerleader if you don't have that faith in yourself? And let me take a step back to Laura. How can you be a therapist if you haven't mentally taken care of yourself so that you can be the calm in the storm of that person who needs good advice? So thank you, Roger Carroll. The resilience is so important. Daphne, witnessing the power of appreciation feels good. That's one way that strength has helped her, and it continues to help her give thanks, because that's what it's all about in all of these samples. As you're watching the video, these are ways of how we give thanks. They've helped us give thanks, and they continue to help us give thanks. So having that motivational cheerleader in your spot is a good one. And Laura, as a therapist, I was asking people to be vulnerable with me. Eventually, I learned to be vulnerable with myself, and that changed my life. Amen. See, so these are strengths. How have you used your strength? Because now what Laura just said, I learned about me from using my strength. Oops, that's what Daphne said. I learned about appreciation through using my strength. Oops, that's what Roger Carroll said. I know that things will change. I learned that because I believe that God is working in my season. And oops, that's what Victor said. I found that it allowed me not to judge you so quickly without seeing who I am. And you know what? You add all those up and you get it. Exactly. All right. And thank y'all for typing so fast in the thread, because I had built in time. I said, okay, we might not get all these things in the thread. But these are great examples, and you're going to see why. Because recognizing your strengths and utilizing them to deal with change and challenges that arise during life helps you to be resilient. Straight back to what Roger Carroll says. Now, here's the next thing. How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel when you use your strengths to handle difficult situations? And I put some samples in the on the slide. In this case, you may feel more confident. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel capable. It makes you feel empowered. What are some feelings? How do you feel when you use your strengths and you handle these difficult situations? How does it make you feel now? And maybe, like I said, maybe 1 or 2 word answers will be good on this. All right, here comes our first one. And Roger Carroll, able and strong. Oh, when I've used and I'm going to turn it into a sentence. When I use my strengths to handle difficult situations, it makes me feel able and strong. Now, I don't have that in a slide, so it's a great thing if you want to write that down, but it becomes a great sentence. When I use my strengths to handle difficult situations, it makes me feel able and strong. For Vic, when I use my strengths to handle difficult situations, it makes me feel I'm in control of my emotions. It makes me feel I'm in control of my emotions. Here comes Laura. When I use my strengths to handle difficult situations, it makes me feel powerful. And then here comes Daphne. When I use my strengths to handle difficult situations, it makes me feel divine. I tell you, you can't make this stuff up, and I can't afford to pay y'all for being so cooperative and blending right into what we need to happen, because all of these things that you have just said, all of these are positive feelings. You see, no feeling is wrong. No emotion is wrong, and no feeling is wrong. Okay, you should feel able and strong. This is a positive feeling, and you should feel in control of your emotions. You want to feel powerful. You want to feel divine, so that Roger Carroll say, "Yes, you." But these are positive feelings. And here's what I want to do. I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you that for the next 7 days, and I just snatched 7 out of the air. I know we say 21 days to create a habit. We're not worried about that. I just want us to have something fun to do. But when you get up in the morning, repeat the word or even the words that you wrote down aloud to yourself. And so again, this is just a part of the formula. Okay. But repeat the word or the words that you wrote aloud to yourself, because you see, what we have to do is remind ourselves of our strengths, and it will start our day with a positive orientation, because we're talking about how to create a positive attitude of thanks. So reminding ourselves of our strengths first thing in the morning will start our day with a positive orientation. Then you'll also have it or them to refer to when you need that boost. And that's why I turned it into that station. To that sentence. I'm going to put that in the thread later. When I use my strengths to handle difficult situations, I feel, bam, and then follow up with all of those words. Okay, who's out of here? Okay, Laura, thanks. God bless you. Be well too. I appreciate you for dropping in. All right. Okay, so those are what that's what you're going to do with your positive words, or if you want to use the formula. The second thing that you can do to orient in a beneficial direction is to recognize the positive things in your life. In other words, I want you to focus on what's going right. So I write down one thing that's going well in your life right now. See, we have to focus. So we've already said that we have to practice positive self-talk. Now, focus on what's going right. Write down one thing that's going well in your life right now. Roger Carroll, I know you might cheat, Miss New Grandmother, but you don't have to cheat. I'd rather give you that hint. But what's one thing that's going well in your life? This is how we keep the formula going. And again, if you're watching the videotape, you can still participate by just putting your things in the feed. They always connect with somebody else that may, have taken it for granted or thought, oh, that doesn't really refer to me. And actually, I think I wrote that in there to remind ourselves of that. Okay. Okay. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't have to be related to what you've already written. I'm sorry. I got to read all my rules. And here's the thing. If you can't think of anything that's going right, then perhaps it's time to reevaluate your life and then make note of what you may be taking for granted. See, so doesn't mean, oh, you screwed up. No, if you're having a hard time thinking of what's going right, you need to reevaluate what's going on and say, well, what am I doing? What is taking up my time that's not allowing me to take note of the things that's going right for me? And that's what you want to be able to do. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Roger Carroll, for the love of my friends, family, and my granddaughter, that's going right. And see, that's why I said we're not having a typing test and making sure you get this in, but feel free to add something that'll touch someone else's kindred spirit when they read it. Maybe they hadn't seen it as a blessing in their life. So whatever you write may touch someone else's kindred spirit. So right now for Roger Carroll, the love of my friends, family, and my granddaughter, that's going right. Vic, I have peace of mind. That's going right. Daphne, wholeness on every level and all aspects. See, there's that every and all. There goes those absolutes. And Vic, you had all as your word earlier, right? That's great. But here's the deal. It's good to remember there are positives going on during this difficult time. Because, aren't we in a difficult season? Not just the holiday season, but what's going on with COVID and people getting back out in public and the new variant and and this and that going on in the news. There's still there's always going to be some disarray in our lives and our daily function, but we can't forget that there are still positive going on in our lives. So we have to remember that there are positives going on. I still have the love of my family and friends, even though I'm going through all of this nonsense. I still have peace of mind because I'm in control of my emotions. Let me click that back, Roger Carroll. Because I'm so resilient, I still have that love and I can pass that on. That's the Vic. So I'm listening, and so I have peace of mind because I'm not judging everybody. I'm seeing how we all fit together. Daphne, I've got my wholeness because I'm a motivational cheerleader. And so that's helping me move things along. See, we still have to add all of these things up. And hopefully your name will get on that if you add something, if you're watching the video. And meanwhile, P.S., by the way, I'm new to doing live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So I must say to those viewers, I hope you're writing something in the thread there, but I'll have to go back and see it because when this when this live happens, StreamYard goes through Facebook. So the only comments that I can actually get are those are the ones that are on Facebook Live. You know me, but everybody knows me with technology. I'm going to figure out how to get them both. But either way, I'm certainly going to go in and answer them. So please participate wherever you're watching, because participation is always going to help somebody else. Okay. So those are some positive things. But now let's talk about your worries and your concerns, because even though we've got all this positive stuff going on, we still got some worries and concerns, Sporty. Well, the third thing to create for positive orientation is to do what? Get your worries or concerns out of your head and down on paper. When Laura comes back to watch the videotape as a therapist, she'll know how important this is. Get your worries or concerns out of your head and get them down on paper. You see, when you're worried about something, it's easy to start feeling overwhelmed by the circumstances in your life. And that's when it's time to make a list. And I'm not going to ask you to put those in the thread. I'm not going to ask you to put your worries or concerns in the thread. I'm not. But I want you to get them down on paper of your own. Either, now jot it down or later write it down, whatever. But that's not something that I'm going to ask you to share. Okay. But that's how you would deal with it in terms. So the 3 steps we've talked about: practice positive self-talk, focus on what's going right, and then put your worries and concerns down on paper. And we do need to be reminded of that. And we're going to see why in a second, because see, once you put your worry and concern on paper, it makes it real. And now it goes back to what Victor said about I'm in control of my emotions. If I can see what my problem is, now I can control it. And so Vic says, I will do. I thank you. Yeah. Again, it's a great practice for you to do. All right. And see, okay. Oh, okay. So what I done lost my track now. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm not going to ask you, but here's what I got down. Getting worries and things that cause you stress out of your head and down on paper can alleviate the anxiety of hanging on to it all yourself. Take a minute, jot down some concerns and things. I go ahead of what I wrote, or stressing you about this upcoming season. If you cannot think of anything, though, that is concerning you, here's the thing: jot down concerns you've heard from family or friends lately. So if you can't think of anything that's bothering you, jot down something that you've heard from somebody else. Now, in that same section of getting your worries and concerns on paper, now what you do, see, we're not just going to give them their free space and we out of here and we positive. No. Here's what you have to do now. Now that you've got your worries and concerns jotted down, list the resources that might help you in creating positive feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. See, ask yourself, do I have a contact who has a friend of a friend who can help with this thing that's bothering me, or that I hear is bothering a family member or a friend? We're not just giving worries and concern free reign and they got their category and that's going to turn us into positive. No. This is what I said about why you want to put it down. You want to put it in writing so it can becomes real. And now you want to show that you can control it. So that's what you would do is you would write any kind of resources that you have that can help you turn that into a positive feeling, a thought, or behavior. Just ask yourself, do I have a friend of a friend who can help? You see, one of my favorite lessons is the story of Death. Death was walking toward a city one morning, and a man asked, "What are you going to do?" Death said, "I'm going to take 100 people." "Well, that's horrible," the man said. Death said, "Hey, that's the way it is. That's what I do." The man hurried to warn everyone he could about Death's plan. As evening fell, he met Death again. He said, "You told me you were going to take 100 people. Why did 1,000 die?" Death said, "I kept my word. I only took 100. Worry took the others." You see, worry, and now we go back to what Roger Carroll, when you're talking about that resilience and faith, worry is and always will be a fatal disease of the heart. The heart needs kindred spirits, for its beginning signals the end of faith. Worry intrudes on God's compassionate ability to provide. When we allow our problems to overshadow God's promises, we unknowingly doom ourselves to a defeat that was never part of God's eternal plans. And Vic, don't you dare watch Doom, put Doom in there. Because your doom is a different one. But yeah, when we allow our problems to overshadow God's promises, we unknowingly, subconsciously doom ourselves to a defeat that was never part of God's eternal plan. He did not have that plan for us to go down. Release the regrets of yesterday, refuse the fears of tomorrow, and receive instead the peace of today. Remember, an undivided heart which worships God alone and trusts in Him as it should, is raised above all anxiety for earthly wants. Simply let go and let God be God. Live this and be eternally grateful. Before I go on with the finish of where I got that from, let me see what we got here. Daphne, I process questions and concerns in my writing. Writing is my communication with God. Yes, it is. Excuse me. I've been writing poetry since I was 14 years old. Do the math. 52 years now. And I have said to people that my poetry, it comes down through God and into my hands and into my fingers and into the pen and onto the paper. So I'm with you there, Daphne. And that is, so as I'm writing, God is communicating because He's telling me what to write. And I believe me, sometimes I get fascinated with the words that I see on the page because they're not always mine. They aren't. They belong to God because of my faith. And so, yes, Daphne, I process. That's another reason why we want to get your worries and concerns on paper, because you can confirm, yeah, these are the worries and concerns. And God said, that's not a worry or concern. Cross it out. Cross it out. Okay. Absolutely. Which is another A word. And then I didn't miss you, Vic. I'm going to go back. You got to conquer the problems. You have to conquer the problems, but you can't conquer what you can't see. Didn't have that in the script. Can't conquer what you can't see. Even the Bible says our battle is not with flesh and blood, not flesh, but with spirits and principalities. You can't conquer what you can't see, which is why the battle is not yours, because you're battling spirits. You can't see them. So you have to let go and let God and leave that up to the Lord. And so the final lesson in that part about worry is what I found in Luke 12 and 22. And He said to His disciples, "For this reason I say to you, do not worry about your life as to what you will eat, nor for your body as to what you will put on. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap. They have no storeroom nor barn, and yet God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than birds? And which of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his lifespan? And I thought I'd let that sit there while I was reading the rest of the scripture. Because if then, oh, and let me finish the scripture. If then you can do even, if then you cannot do even a very little thing, why do you worry about other matters? If then you cannot even do a little thing, why do you thank you, preach and teach? And you know what, I highlight that, click it, because I always say I don't practice what I preach, I preach what I practice. And as you do that, you're teaching. See, like they say, people, I hear what you say, but I learn from what you do. And so when you preach what you practice, when you do what you do, you're teaching someone, here's how I do it. So therefore, I would not mislead you by telling you to do something that and giving you advice that I would not be willing to take from myself. And I think that's very reassuring for whoever you're giving advice to. Okay. Now, just a quick thing in the thing, a little yes or no, just a little yes or no questions. And it's only one question. Are all of your worries things that you have control over? I'm going to get Vic's up there. Let go. I could almost answer the question, but just give me a why or an, or yes or a no. Are all of your worries things that you have control over? We've talked about conquering them. We're talking about writing against them. We've talked about being reminded, peace of mind, yeah. So, are all of those things that we have control over? No. Vic says, no, we have no control of it. Daphne says, yes. And this is not a right or wrong. That's a yes or no. And it's you, because it depends on what was on your list. P.S. By the way, this depends on what was on your list. And Roger Carroll says yes. Okay. But here's the thing. If you are worried about something, that's negative thinking. And you want to reduce that as much as possible. Here's what I want to say to you. If you do not have the power to change the situation, you can change the way you think about the situation. So if you see this little meme, it says she met him on the internet. He said he lived in a gated community. That's covered in that. There we go. She met him on the internet. He said he lived in a gated community. If you do not have the power to change your situation, change the way you look at it. See, a positive attitude is not confined to people in the free world, people in jail have to have a positive attitude. When I'm talking to my military family, they got to have a positive attitude if they're being deployed, especially to a war zone. Our law enforcement, our firefighters, our EMTs, our doctors, there's no one that doesn't need to have a positive attitude. And there's no one that has control over every single situation that comes in their path. So the key is, if you can't change it, then change the way you think about it so that you can handle it appropriately. Training yourself to find the positive perspective on a situation is not always easy. But as with anything else, the more you practice, the better you get at doing it. At first, it might require a conscious effort, but if you keep making that effort, at some point you'll realize looking at things from a beneficial perspective has become your habit. And as you develop that habit, it becomes your awareness of how God is always working in your life. As you said it before, Roger Carroll. And yes, I use always, because glue, God's love undoes everything, lets you know that his ways may not seem like a smooth path to happiness, but we must always accept and allow him to help us give thanks. Now, I've decided to end each message in this thanks series by reminding you. And Roger Carroll, a couple of times you used the word reminder. Thanks for the reminder. I want to use this series to remind all to continue your safe and festive celebration, yet do not restrict your thanks to this weekend or any weekend to come. Instead, I want you to commit your spirit to constantly seeking ways, things, and reasons to be thankful. And remember, as you give thanks, all of us, let's be safe. I'm Sporty King. Remember, glue. God's love undoes everything. It really does. And we don't need to hump as much as we need to keep it together, because it's so important that we see that, that it's, oh, hump, I'm sorry, because we don't need to hump as much as we need to keep it together, because God love really does undo everything. But thanks for watching and sharing Glue Wednesday. And I am a proponent of wearing your mask. So I believe it's something that we should do. And whatever your decision is, make it. But remember that your decision impacts someone else. So thanks for watching Glue Wednesday. I'll let the goodbyes get in there, because I know there's a little delay. Thank you, Vic. All be safe, and all the time. There's another one of those absolutes. And feel free, if you're watching the videotape, go on back and make some comments, and we'll get those comments to you answered. All right. Okay. Over and out. Ciao.